Hello guys, how you all doing? Okay, so today we're going to continue our website authoring video tutorials. And the last one we took an in-depth look at HTML and how you can use HTML to build the structure of your website. We looked at the tables and how the code structure is designed to create the table. And we also looked at some codes that we're going to be working with. So today I'm going to do a quick tutorial about CSS. Just call it your quick guide to CSS. Like I always say, you really don't need to write any code, but you still need to understand how these codes work. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at CSS in depth, then we're going to look at how the CSS codes work. So to do this, I'm going to quickly create a CSS file. Okay, so let me call this test1.css. Okay, now I said that CSS are created and applied to tag elements. So whenever you want to create a CSS style, you need to assign the CSS properties to a tag value. For instance, the h1 tag. Okay, you can use the h1 tag to assign the CSS properties to it. And when you want to do that, you need to use a curly bracket, open bracket, then add the properties, let's say for instance color, okay, and then you assign a color to it. So usually you're going to use hexadecimal. The syntax for hexadecimal is hashtag RGB. The R there stands for red, the G stands for green, and the blue, the B stands for blue. Okay. Uh, just note this as a syntax, but however, this is how you can write it. For instance, I can say FF for the red, um, 32 and 11. Okay. So each of those codes in the RGB take two-digit values. Like for instance, the R has an FF code, the green has a 32 or 32 code, and the blue has the 11 code. Okay, then you put the semicolon to close that. Okay, so this is how you write the code. The basic syntax works this way. The tag element which you're assigning the value to, a curly bracket, open curly bracket, then you put all the CSS properties and their values in it, and then close it. Now sometimes you can have more than one CSS property applied to the tag element. So I can also apply, like for instance, say a font family. Okay, uh, Arial, if not Arial, Helvetica, if not Helvetica, then there's default sans serif. So that's just what this means. Arial, comma, Helvetica, comma, sans serif. It's saying take use the first value there, which is Arial. Now if that value is not available, or if that font type is not on the web browser, then choose Helvetica. And if the Helvetica also does not exist on the user's web browser, then use any default sans serif font that exists in the user's web browser. So that is just what that means for the font family. We can also add font size. Okay, for the font size, I can decide to use maybe a 20 point size. Okay, for it. Now you notice that after I put a CSS property like color here, okay, I use a semicolon to say this is the property and I want to assign this value to it. Okay, now the same thing when I call the CSS property font family, the same thing happened, and font size. Now what I did was, after I assigned the value to that CSS property, I used the semicolon. What the semicolon does is, every value that you assign here, or whatever you put here before the semicolon here, is a value assigned to the property there. For instance, the value I put here before the semicolon means I'm assigning this value to the property called color. Okay, so any other thing that follows after the semicolon is a new property value. So for instance, I have a new property and I have a value here. The same thing, font size, then I have the value here, and I put the semicolon to end the value, or the assigning of values to that property. Okay, now another thing I want you to take note of, sometimes you can have two or more tag elements that have the same property values. Like for instance, the h2 tag, okay, can have a property value of font family. For instance, could be Korea new. If not Korea, then if not that, monospace, and if not that, use a default serif font. Okay, as its value. Now notice that the Korean new is two words, but it's put within a speech mark. It's just the speech mark there is just saying that the web browser should read the Korea and new as one value, as one word. Okay, and they have another value. Let's say the font size, another property, font size. This should be a 18 point. Okay, I'm going to copy this here just to emphasize the point I'm going to say. And I'm going to put the h3 tag here. Okay, so let's assume the h2 tag element and the h3 tag element both have the same CSS properties. Now, what I can do is, instead of having to write the h2 tag, assign the same CSS property, and do the h2 tag and assign the CSS property, this here is not efficient in CSS. There's a more efficient way of doing it. I can simply come and say h2 tag here, put a comma and put the h3 tag there. Okay, and then I can delete this one. Okay, so what I just did here is calling grouping of what CSS properties, okay, to different tag elements. So in a situation where two or more tag elements, like how we have in the h2 and h3, have the same CSS properties, you can group them into one. So instead of writing the code over and over again, you can just write the code once and it will apply to both tag elements. Okay, I hope this is clear enough. If you have any question, you can just drop it down in the comment section, then I will attend to you. Moving forward, common mistakes in CSS. There are common mistakes or common errors that you find in CSS when writing your CSS. Now, in most IGCSE exams, they tend to ask these questions. They want to see how you can identify it. Now, the first one you see here, sometimes they forget to put either the opening curly bracket or the closing curly bracket. They forget to use the comma between two tag elements with the same properties. Sometimes they forget to put the column. Sometimes they forget to put the semicolon at the end. Um, Sometimes when you're writing the CSS properties, like for instance, the font family, there's a dash between the font and the family. Same thing with the font size. Okay, and another one is text align. Another mistake people do is they write the color this way. This is wrong. It's color, C-O-L-O-R, not C-O-L-O-U-R. Okay, so that's another thing you need to take note of. the spellings, text align, that's another one. Sometimes they put double L just to confuse you, but it's actually one L. There are a lot of those common errors you find in CSS. Um, Another one is the spelling of center, like let's do the text align for instance. Okay, so the text align is supposed to be centered this way, or sometimes they will want to confuse you and put it as center. Now this is wrong. The actual spelling is center this way. Okay, so that's another one. Well, you can look at all this and take a look at some of the common CSS errors. I'm sure when we go through some of the past questions, you'll understand this better. Okay. We're going to stop this introductory part here. I want to believe we've basically covered all the basic knowledge you need to know about CSS. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you how you're going to use CSS in Expression Web. Now, looking at all this code, it kind of feels confusing, or you might not know what to do, but like I always say, you don't worry. Most of what you're doing is just clicking, drag and drop. Okay, so I'm going to come to the style2.css and show you what we have here. Like we have some font family, some things, text decoration, and the rest that has been placed here. Okay, now if you want to add a CSS value to it, all you just need to do is come here, either to the apply styles or the manage styles, and click on new style. Okay, so let's assume I want to create a new style for the h2 tag element. So the selector I'm going to choose is h2. I want to set the font family to let's say Times New Roman. If not available, Times. If not available, then Serif. I want to set the font size to maybe 16 points. Okay, my text decoration, do I want it on the line? Yes, I'll probably want it on the line. What else can I do? The color. Okay, I can set the color to the, okay, let's make it, sorry, hashtag, let's say 23 ff 32. Okay, so this color, this green color. I might want to do things like make it text align centered, like that. Then I can click on apply and click on save. Now you notice the moment I did that, what it did was it created this block of CSS code for me. So if you notice, I didn't type any code manually myself. I just used that dialog box and it filled in the properties for me. If I actually wanted to change the background color, okay, so I'm going to create a selector or tag element called body, because there's a body tag. This time around, what I want to do is I want to change the background color. So I can either change the background color, or I can add the background image. The choice is up to you, or depend on what the question says. So for the background color, I can do, why do I keep adding the plus sign? 0000FF. Okay, so I want to make it blue. Let me make it red. FF0000. Okay, apply, and there you go. So if I come to my document here, my HTML document, now all I just need to do is attach this CSS style to it. By the way, I need to save this first. It's not saved here. So okay, let me copy all of this and just paste it here, since I already have the test one in here. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to show you how to write the comment in your CSS. Okay, so to write a comment in your CSS, you use the forward slash, use the asterisk, then you put whatever you want to put. Most likely it'll be your name they'll ask for. Okay, they'll ask for your center number and they'll ask for your candidate number. Okay, then you put an asterisk and close that. So that's how you write a comment in your CSS tag. It's a bit different from your HTML. I'm going to show you that when we start doing a proper HTML coding. Alright, so now this is done. What I want to do is I want to attach the CSS style to my web page. So all I'll do is go to my web page and click on attach style sheet. So when this dialog box comes up, what you want to do is make sure it's on link. Okay, if you import it, then it's going to embed your style sheet into your HTML document, and you don't want that to happen. So browse, this is the file, and I'll click open and OK. So you can see the CSS style sheet has been applied to this page. Now, one advantage of your CSS style sheet is it allows you to create what we call consistency in design. Now, when I talk about consistency in design, is saying, for instance, all your heading 1 tags are the same in terms of font size, font family, or font style. Your H2 tags are the same. Um, just basically any form of consistency you want in your design. So it doesn't make one style looking different from the other. So you can be using for instance, a paragraph tag and the font style is different from the other one. Okay, so that's basically it. If you have any question, like I said before, just drop it down in the comment section and I'll get onto that and respond as quickly as possible. Alright guys, thank you. See you guys in the next class when we'll actually start answering some past questions. Bye.